Yeah.
Kate, my mother-in-law, she's she's got a hip replacement already, and she's looking to get another one. She's getting an MRI, and she's seeing a surgeon now. But it made me realise
Another hip replacement.
Yeah,
The other side.
yep, and it made me realise that my dad got 2 knee replacements, and this is before I worked in this industry, and I was really aware of the body and how serious before I had my own surgery and how serious it was. But man, he was a tough dude. Like, he did those. I didn't really think about it at all.
I would have been.
I would have visited him, and
Did he do a double?
He did a double.
Oh,
No, he did one at a time. But like, I think back and I'm like, I had nothing to do with that process. He just kind of ground it out.
Didn't talk about it.
Didn't talk about it. He was in his own apartment. I got the photos of his knees, just like that photo you showed me of his.
Hurting up there.
Yeah, but he was up walking, and I probably could have been more compassionate at the time, but I just wasn't that aware of those sorts of things at that age.
Your dad just had a knee replacement.
Dad just had a knee replacement. Yeah, he's been
big surgery, man. It's a big wound you showed us.
big. Yeah, they put a new top on the femur, whole new top. It's like a metal, like a cap, and then I think there's one on the other side too, because the bone was actually wearing into itself. It had worn its own groove into the joint, which is like, I'm not even sure how he would have put up with that kind of pain without
just
looking at
ground
it. That's
piece of
a
cartilage
boomer
over the
for you, isn't
years
it?
Yeah.
Boomers, that's it.
Don't complain. Just get on with it.
Get on with it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I can't walk. It's okay.
Fine.
It's okay.
I can still carry it.
I can still walk.
carry those
You can't
kids.
walk. Yeah, I know, but I can still walk. My dad's the same. He's been saying for about 3 decades, well, knee replacement's only last you 10 years, so I'll just wait until I got about 10 years left.
That's what
and
my
then I'll get
dad
the knee
said as well.
replacement.
Then we got there, and the guy was, and the surgeon was like, "Yeah, so you'll get a good 30 years out of this." I was like, "You sat there for 10 years, you idiot," without even googling it, knowing that you could have got it 20 years ago. This year's going
it's
to outlive you.
It's changed in the last 10 years. It's changed in the last 10 years. 10 years ago,
Imagine
than
10
in the
years from
last
now.
20 years.
Well, imagine 10 years from now,
That'll be a completely different thing.
mate. When I'm that age, I'm getting everything. I'm fucking bionic legs and shit. I'm kick doors off fucking 76 Chev.
I'm getting fake breasts.
Yeah, look at 90.
They're dead. Man, I just came from a gym this morning down in Caringbah with Justin Lang. He's the owner of the gym. You guys may or may not know of him. But he's a bit of a specialist in the area of athletic development and knee rehab for athletes. So he's an EP who runs a gym. So he's sort of on that threshold of like exercise physiology, physio, and also gym.
CrossFit box or?
No, it's very much his own thing, and
Yep.
it's all based around athletic development and rehabilitation of those injuries. But he knows, this fucking guy is like an encyclopedia. He knows all of the studies and all of the statistics relevant to knee surgeries, ACL, recos, MCL, LCL, how long it takes you to get back on the field, what the parameters are. The guy was like a fucking, like a guru. I was like, Jesus Christ, man, you know so much about this stuff.
Achilles, he'd know all about
I'm sure.
Achilles
Yeah, I'm sure.
too.
You know, I told him your story from the snapped Achilles a couple of nights ago.
So were you working with him now?
I actually just wanted to connect with him because I met him years ago through jiu-jitsu. He was a purple belt. He trained under Alex Prates, who you trained with for a while.
Yeah.
And Alex always said, "Oh, you got to get together with Justin, man. You guys are so similar, like flexibility, the strength thing, you know." And Justin and I rolled together once, and we got to meet a little bit at training. But then, really, other than that, I never had much to do with him. But I've always heard from people, mutual friends, that he just really knows his stuff. So I just made the time today to go down and visit his gym, and he's a fucking legend. Took me on a tour of the gym, had a mad chat. Took me to Cronulla, bought me a coffee, had a mad chat, and then said see ya. But gave me some drills for my knee, gave me some information, and it was really nice to connect.
He's in Caringbah.
He's in Caringbah.
There's a lot of gyms down there.
Dude, it's so heavily
They're
populated with
fucking
gyms.
everywhere. It's amazing.
It's-
Rocky Point Road, there's like a gym every block.
Yeah, there's shitloads of them. And all these different ones, little franchise
all
things
very
that you've
different.
never heard of before.
Yeah. There's even like a teenagers only gym.
Is there?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's still there, but it's like under 16s only.
Amazing.
Strictly. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
I mean, his is cool. Justin is Rob Whittaker's strength conditioning coach.
yeah.
So but he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't really care about marketing and stuff. His craft is his thing. And when I was in there, like spending a couple of hours with him, I came to realize I'm like, holy shit.
just sells itself.
But he showed me a 2-hour, it kind of fucking made me feel a bit depressed. He showed me a return to sports program or test that they use for like NRL players. He's got, I think, 25 like first grade football players, league and union, who go there and they're constantly rotating because there's constant knee injuries. But a 2-hour test that they do to test if you're ready to return to sport or not. And it covers fucking everything. Like it is so comprehensive. And if you score one thing inadequate, you fail the test. And it's got like 60 tests in it. And there's like strength and agility and all those things. But then there's like psychological evaluation where they'll see if there's
You're
any
hesitating.
Yeah, if there's any moment of hesitation, you fail, and you don't. You know, that's it. It's like, cool, keep training your rehab.
That's sick. So it showed you the program on paper type thing?
Yeah,
Like,
showed me the results of one of his guys and what's in there.
I'd
And
love to see that.
yeah, and I was like, fuck, man, I don't know if I want to do a test like that because I would definitely not be there. Right? But it just shows like, he's like, if you actually want to return to sport responsibly, then this is what you need to do. Obviously, I'm not playing ball sports and I'm not at an elite level. It's not as relevant.
Yeah.
But I was like, even just a little bit in that direction and having a more basic kind of way to evaluate would be so worthwhile, which is kind of what I've been working towards. But, you know, just thinking like, we felt this, right? You get injured, you take a bit of time off training, you come back to training, it's a bit tender for a while, and then before you know it, you forget about the fact that you were injured. But there's a little bit of damage to your proprioception, to your body awareness, to your coordination every time. And especially when you've had something where they're cutting you open like that, right? Like a knee surgery or a fucking Achilles thing. They've destroyed so many systems
Little
and
nerve endings. and
yeah,
shit.
like all this stuff we take for granted, right? So yeah, super fascinating. Your dad's got a fun path ahead of him.
Oh, he does. But I think it'll all be worth it. I mean, he'll be able to train again.
Yeah, he'll
And
be
that's
able
a
to
big
walk
one.
again.
Be able to walk
Yeah.
again and contribute and do things for me.
Wow.
Thanks, Dad.
He's got some pretty physical grandchildren.
Thank you.
There's some coffee. That's from Panavore, in case you didn't know. They sponsor our show. Shout out Panavore Tree. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, but I'm just amazed at how amazing the technology is nowadays. The fact that
Totally.
you can get yourself a new knee
I've seen
and your
the-
body just accepts it for 30 years, doesn't reject it. There's none of these heavy side effects, and you know what I mean. Like
It's
you
wild.
can still
Yeah.
you can get under a squat rack again or run, but with a new knee. And I'm like, holy shit! Like it's a whole new. I always thought knee reconstruction or replacement were just like I didn't really
Think of what it is.
Yes, I just thought, oh, yeah, knee replacement. And then when I actually saw it, they're quite beautiful. Like the shape of the metal and
Yeah, I've seen the
smoothness and the
little
quality of the
animations of
compounds
it.
and that. And you're
Yeah.
like, holy
Yeah.
shit! It's like that. You see the 3D printing kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's got that
Yeah.
feel to it now. It's not like just a bunch of screws and a
rod.
and a hinge and a door hinge.
Yeah.
You know how they came to be so good and these days?
The Germans.
There's just hundreds of thousands and decades of people
The
getting
shamans.
really bad knee reconstructions.
Of course,
There've
yeah.
been so many
Pile of bodies.
people, yeah,
Just trial and well, that's
Rejected.
that's just medicine, isn't it?
in general, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Trial and error.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's right. Probably prior, at some period they would have just chopped the thing off. Just fucking chop your leg
Yeah,
off.
just get rid of it.
Now then there was
Fuck it
like,
off.
oh, we can put this
Try
door
this.
hinge
They
in
stick it
there.
like a pirate's
Let's make that work.
Yeah.
And yeah. We'll probably look back
wooden
at,
stump.
We'll probably
You know,
look
the
back at
pirate
this part
stump?
now and think how barbaric.
Yeah,
Oh, for
that's
sure.
right.
They were
When I
using
got
metal.
my bionic legs, they'll be
right.
kicking shit out of people. Yeah.
There was a guy this morning at Justin's gym with a prosthetic leg, and he was just training. And Justin's like, oh, he's a jiu-jitsu guy. And I was like, holy shit, man. I was asking him about it. So he's got his legs attached. He's got a stump, maybe 3/4 of his thigh bone, and then it's a prosthetic leg from down there. And I asked him how he trains. He said, I'd have to train without the leg. So I've just got one leg.
Yep.
I'm like, man, how do you go? He goes, dude, I go well. He's like, people find it really hard to pass my guard. I use the stump to choke people. I got like this stump choke that I use where I
That is
grab
the
I
fucking
kind of grab
best.
them and I drive the stump into their neck.
Does he call it a stump?
Well, he calls that the stump choke.
The stump choke.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he doesn't refer to it like there's no. It's not like my leg or it's like this
short
stump.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, imagine going home with, after that.
Oh.
Sitting in the car.
After that
thinking
surgery.
thinking that, not knowing that you just got stump choked.
He said he's apparently quite good at takedowns.
Yep.
And I asked him how he initiates the fight. I'm like, you're hopping the whole time, right? He's like, yeah, I stand balancing, and then when the ref says fight, I'm hopping and like moving forward. He said, but most people don't know how to take me down, so I'm quite successful with my takedowns.
Yeah.
He goes, there was one guy in a competition once took me down, just grabbed me and did this huge leg sweep, and the whole crowd booed him. So
That's the whole thing, isn't it?
they're like, you dog, how could you do that? He's only got one leg. He was laughing about it. He was like, how great's that?
Good on him, though.
I
How
know.
fucking amazing is that?
Yeah.
I think that's great.
And it's jiu-jitsu is, how interesting that you can build a game in jiu-jitsu around a limitation like that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we were talking about that before, weren't we? Like martial arts in
Yeah,
general.
yeah.
You got to work. You work with what you got.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I think you sent me the link from that wrestler that has no legs. He was just a torso, and he was fucking phenomenal,
Isn't he?
Yeah, and he was competing in a very high level. Like the guys he was wrestling against wouldn't definitely not going easy on him, and he fucking cleaned up.
He almost has an unfair advantage.
He was a monster.
You see-
Two legs.
He's just a torso, man.
Can't get at him.
It's that kid, Zion, is it? It's on
So
Netflix.
strong.
Wow.
If anyone wants to watch it. It's
Yeah,
like a 15-minute short film.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's
But
why,
he's
like-
very much. I
He's
almost
just a torso.
cried in it. It was-
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
it
do you
was,
deal with that?
yeah. It was
Yeah.
quite confronting too, because
Yeah.
it's in a way, there's something horrific's not the right word, but when you look at someone who is literally just a torso, you feel so like such a deep sadness. But then to see how he can excel with it and how he's just adapted.
And he'd come from a very humble beginnings. Like there's no money in his family and
Yeah,
tough neighborhood. Like had everything going against him, and just rose
yeah,
a champ.
yeah. It's cool, huh,
Yeah,
mate? You just had another baby.
had another baby.
Hey, how old's the baby?
My wife had it.
Well,
I was just standing there filming it. It
my
was a
baby.
cesarean because she's had she had emergency cesarean with the first baby,
Right.
and then they advised not to have to deliver once you got the scar, because if you've got scar they can rupture. And now that we're old parents, because we're in
Geriatric?
40, we're geriatrics, so they said if you're geriatric and you've had a cesarean already,
Do you
it's
risk
better
it?
not to
Yeah.
risk it.
Yeah.
So we just said yes, fine.
You're like, sorry, what did you say? Can you speak up a bit, love? I can't hear you.
So you filmed it? You filmed the
whole
I
thing.
remember seeing
Yeah.
one of the old
Filmed
videos
all
from back
three,
in the day,
yeah.
I remember
Confronting.
when TMI was born, your first, I came to the hospital that night, and Dee was in bed, and TMI was in the bassinet, and you like picked her up and like threw her at me. I'm like, hold it. And I was like, oh, it's baby. And then you were like, man, you should have seen all the layers of muscle and tissue they were cutting through. I got it all on video. Do you want to see it? And I was like, bro, don't show me that. I don't want to see that shit. But you're quite fascinated
Yeah.
with that surgical.
You watched it though, didn't you?
No, I don't think I could. I couldn't stomach it.
Oh, really?
I don't want to see like knives and scalpels
really?
and.
Are you
know.
going to watch yours?
Well, I don't think so.
You totally should, bro.
I mean,
It's
I might.
Such amazing, like to watch.
I'll be there, and if I'm like, yeah, I will.
Just take a little peek over the curtain,
Yeah,
because they put a little curtain between
yeah. I've seen the little
you and-
screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would highly advise just getting a glimpse of the head and everything coming out. Like it's quite it's
I
amazing.
mean that makes sense. But seeing them put scalpel to skin and watching incisions and that, I'm like,
and the placenta, you want to see that come out?
yeah, I want to see that. Like things coming out, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like portals being created, it's
Yeah, so I can't speak to it, but I'd be too curious not to look. But the initial cutting and stuff, it'd be hard. It would be hard, but it's all
It's different in the hospital.
You got layers of cloth over it with and there's only an opening where they need to make
It's
the
all very
incision. So
professional.
it's not like you see that half of the body. So I don't know. Who knows?
It's not like lying there going,
I think I'll be under the influence of some fucking strong hormones. I'm imagining.
Give me the gas.
Yeah,
No, okay.
get that big guy out of here.
they'll spinal tap Joe just to make sure he's not flailing with his limbs. Hey, give me the epidural.
Mies will be holding my hand. Just keep breathing, babe. Just keep breathing. I can't do it. I'm not going to make it.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, new third baby boy. Still
How
don't
cool.
have a name yet.
Great.
But yeah, awesome. And I'm really looking forward to you going through the same thing.
Yeah.
We'll all have babies, all three
I
of us.
know. I didn't think about that until you said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all well, mine will be in 4 days after the new year, but it's all around within the same 12-month period.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool because you guys have already had heaps of fucking babies.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I can get in on this before.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
Before we shut shop.
Yeah, well, that's if Paul
Paul's
ever
never going to
does.
shut shop.
Yeah.
Well, I found out that
7-Eleven.
I didn't know. I did not know that. I don't know how I missed this bit of information, but when you get the snip, you can renege on the snip and you can get it reattached.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I did not know that.
Have you ever even considered getting the snip?
Not until I heard this about 3 weeks ago. I was
Right.
like, oh, really? Oh, okay. I'll totally get that.
What happens?
If you want.
But
Do
why?
your testes
I mean,
shrink up?
I don't know.
Do you lose your masculinity? You know?
Well, I don't know enough about it, but it was mainly because
no more
part of me.
no more testosterone.
Part of me-
I'm
grow
sure- no,
boobs.
It couldn't be that. They couldn't like
No.
isolate your
I don't-
testosterone supply. So
No,
you don't
and
get
it's
any
not for fear
balls
of,
to shrink.
for fear of that at all because I got surplus there.
It's a
but-
little salt.
But it was more the fact that I don't know.
Balls
I didn't want to stop a function that my body does. And we might decide to
Is
turn
there
around and have
any,
another
like,
kid, or
can you
might wanna have another
ejaculate?
kid.
Yeah,
Because that'd be a
I
bit
don't know.
weird if you're like orgasm, but nothing comes out.
No.
You're like, it's just like,
like gas.
Oh, bro. No, I'm like couldn't. Yeah.
I don't know, but I actually don't know.
well,
But anyway,
you got to
get-
stop the sperm from coming out. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the idea. Like you're tying up
No, I think
the
it-
tube where the sperm comes
No,
out.
but there's I think in sperm, and I don't know how we got on this. There is, and I have no idea.
Keep it
there's,
coming.
There's fluid, and then there's sperm. So I think fluid comes out, but it's not. It doesn't have the bits that make.
It's like the
babies.
egg white without the yolk. It's just
Okay, so a vasectomy
Science.
works by stopping the sperm traveling through the tubes
Okay.
from the testicles. That's it.
Carry on.
This prevents pregnancy by stopping the sperm from meeting the egg.
Oh.
So it stops the sperm traveling through the tubes from the testicles. So
what
it's
did you
still-
type into Google there to find this out?
What happens when you get the snip?
Oh, it should be like,
So your
you
balls will
still
get bigger.
ejaculate.
because they'd just be filling with more sperm.
Potentially.
Who
Yeah,
knows?
That's all right. Put up with that.
I
yeah.
think I would have heard about that if it kept spread.
Are those about
Everyone would be
60% of
doing it.
vasectomies can be reversed, Paul? Just so you know.
Oh, you can-
60%.
About 60%
Oh,
can.
so
Not
it's
all.
like-
Okay.
Not all. Okay. Well, anyway.
It's a tough decision and don't take it lightly. That comes from Men's
Okay.
Health Forum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's probably listeners screaming
You
at their
fucking
podcast
idiots.
now.
Yeah.
Like,
You
Ignorant.
guys are idiots.
you don't know that?
Yeah.
Anyway.
No wonder
it-
there's
it-
like 8 kids amongst the 3 of you.
Yes.
Well, that's cool. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the snip and stuff is something you think of at a certain stage in life. It's never come into my mind like when that would occur.
I never thought of it. Now that we've had 3, it's all about protection.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's all about like, oh shit. we
Don't
can't-
want that
you can-
accidental
Yeah,
one.
no. I
Yeah.
started working. It's like, don't want that accidental one. So
Yeah.
it's all the conversation at the moment. I'm willing. Apparently, it's just a little walk in, walk out procedure.
Yeah, seems pretty straightforward.
You know.
Ominous.
What all right, let me give you a couple updates on what we got going on. It's episode 83 today, so this is the official introduction. Thanks guys for listening. What I did want to say today to our listeners was thank you for supporting our show, and for those of you that we don't know personally that don't come and train here but do listen, we really appreciate you guys because it's very gratifying for us to know that there are people out there who are not connected to our gym directly who give a fuck about what we have to say and take this information and, you know, put it into practice or even just get some entertainment from it. So thank you guys. I do get kind of regular text messages from strangers saying, oh, by the way, I love the show. Keep it up. You guys are awesome. And I'm like, that's so cool. I never really thought about people listening to us much
unreal.
beyond our
Yes,
kind of
yeah,
close
yeah.
circle, you know?
Yeah, and neither do I. But occasionally we might see some of the numbers, and you're like, "Where are all these people coming from?"
Yeah. Yeah, they're in the thousands.
Thank you.
Thousands and thousands. But no, thank you guys. You're legends. We have the Persian Yoga Workshop happening tomorrow, but by the time you're hearing this podcast, it'll be over, so don't worry about it. The biggest event that we do have coming up is the Fight Night, which is on the 12th of December. And that's what we're talking like, I don't know, 4 weeks away. We've had a couple of little changes because a couple of, fighters have got injured while in camp and whatnot, but it's shaping up to be a hectic event. It will all be streamed live and all the proceeds will go towards charity, which will be Rise Foundation. How many fights we got at this point, Paul?
About 12.
About 12?
About 12.
Yeah, well, who did we lose? We've lost Andrew and Tony. We're going to try and see if Marco wants to roll with Tony, perhaps.
Very nice.
Because we lost Stefan we lost Stefan, who was fighting David, boxing.
Yep.
And we lost Pavel as well, because Pavel's injured. So all three of them injured.
So that's 3 fights, but
I challenged Paul, but he didn't want to take me on.
You don't want that heat.
And so
No,
we had to
because
find...
it's friendship over. I'd rather remain friends, because if I get in there and
Choke
break
me
your
to
neck.
death,
something like that, yeah.
pop my eyeballs out.
Any kickboxing fighter,
It's
I
like
choke
that
you.
moment where he has the neck and he's like, I can break it or I can not break it. And T's like, he's like
Blood sport.
Yeah. The crowd's like, yeah.
And then, so now you're going to fight David. You'll fight Stefan's...
yes, if you confirm that match as the matchmaker,
Yes.
I'd like you to decide, because I can't decide.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
too
the one. That's
invested.
the one. Well,
As a stand-up.
because David's already been training up.
Yes,
You've
yes,
been
yes,
already
yes, yes.
training up.
Yep.
It makes only sense that you guys
Okay.
fight each other, both striking, rather than pulling
Okay, I'm
Marco
really
off
happy.
the bench for you to roll.
Yep, and change the game.
Yeah.
I'm really happy about that.
Yeah,
And,
I think it's a good outcome.
Yes.
And I think the boys are happy about it. Pavel's going to be our referee now.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, because
That's
he's a
great.
nice neutral place. He's
Yeah.
not going to be biased.
Yeah.
He's very fair, and he's
Stern.
professional, and he knows the rule sets of the majority of the, and the ones that we don't know, we'll just make up on the day.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll have to mention,
Refs-
because of the
correct
last
decision.
podcast that we had, and there was all this laughing about Pavel and I'm glad that he's still involved. I really looked forward to to locking horns with him in the ring, and it's the best thing for him.
Yeah.
But there's that a 1-0 for
No,
me.
he'd be hurt.
That's
he'd be real bummed
Yeah,
out
yeah.
about not being able to compete.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think he knew for a while, but he didn't want to say it,
He
right?
didn't want to say it. So I'm up 1. I got 1-0 now.
well,
It's my
yeah, well,
round.
there's a no
you got the moral
contest.
victory.
No contest. There's a no-show. That's what happens in jits, isn't it?
Well,
If your opponent doesn't come onto the match,
still
you
get
get a
the
win
medal.
for that.
fucking oath.
Still get the medal.
That's
Yeah.
yours, Paul. You won
I
that.
got that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
1-0.
Cheers.
And he, every time he sees Pavel, he knows inside that Pavel's ducked him. Well, he ducked him before.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
Undefeated fighter currently.
Quit ducking me, boy.
Yeah, and I think now we just need to find Tony. I would like to hit Marco up and see if he wants to roll with Tones.
I think that'd be a good one.
It would.
Yeah. Marco would have the strength and the mobility advantage, but Tony's got the more training experience
And size.
better technical jiu-jitsu and the size.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And that's it. Is there any more pull-ups? It was that.
There was 3 there.
Yeah, it's done.
Yep.
Done.
I'm very excited about that. No, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking exceptional.
I tell you what, I went away for 2 weeks while this baby was getting born. Came back and it went from like light sparring, laughy, halfy, kind of play around with fun kicks and stuff to like
Mate.
full on fight camp.
Chopping trees down with them leg
yeah,
kicks.
I felt quite like
Everyone's very
intimidated up there last
Everyone's
night.
focused.
Yeah, it looks like it's stepped up in
It's like-
maybe focus.
Yeah, it's just
Focus.
more more people.
Yeah.
Everyone's like on the they want to replicate their fight night.
Yeah.
So it's become more serious, and everyone's getting better, faster, and more efficient, and more competitive. It was like standing in the middle of and they're all big guys. You know what I mean? Everyone's around the 80 to between 80 and 95 kind of thing. So it was kind of like standing in the middle of a buffalo herd. Where you got the males just bashing heads, and then you got like a few of the smaller buffaloes just trying to dodge all the males bashing heads.
Well, I love it.
What's
I
the
love
female
it.
contingent up
It was
there?
so good.
There's like
There was half.
There were five
it was-
girls,
five girls.
but there were
like
10
Deb
guys.
and Mon, and like they're super
Yeah.
consistent, right?
Yeah.
Deb's fighting.
Deb's fighting.
Deb's fighting.
But but they're all much lighter.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to kind of get them up there.
We usually
I don't
mix
like
spar, but we had to separate it.
sexes because it sounds very old school, but it just to get the side, there's just so much more weight and power
It has
in
a
the men.
place from a kind
Yeah.
of safety and fairness perspective
Yes,
in combat, doesn't it?
especially when everyone's in that like mindset,
Yes, yeah.
where they want to hone their own skills, and then
Yeah.
they can't, and everyone's still beginner, so
They can't pull punches as well.
No,
as-
so they don't know how to switch out of like sparring with Paul to sparring with Monaco, who's 43 kilos.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to make that transition for some people.
Yeah.
So it was just, it was. We just had to.
It was a good
turn
call.
The,
It was
turn
a
the
good call.
turn the temperature down a bit.
Yeah, right.
We look forward to you getting back in there once we work out how to.
Mate, I'm not looking forward to it. I was like, I feel like I'm going to get slapped around.
What, getting back
be
into
fine.
sparring?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've not been sparring? You didn't
Well, I had
spar?
2 weeks off.
Yep.
I smoked a lot of marijuana over that time.
Oh, true.
Did very little training. Drunk a bit of alcohol.
Still
and then
got,
it felt a bit
still got
lethargic.
penis skin for abs.
And then just felt very lethargic up there, surrounded by all these guys half my age. I was like, shit.
And then when David took his top off last night, everyone was like, "Okay,
Mate, that
packing
guy, look, he's
showering
like a
Surgeon
Calvin
Brett.
Klein model.
He does.
He does, he
He's
models.
a very attractive man.
he's a model."
Very attractive guy.
Yep.
But it's like Arnold Schwarzenegger said. He said you got to be careful because when you're competing against a darker skinned bodybuilder, a darker skin shows muscle
Correct.
better
Looks
than
nice.
what. That's
it looks
why.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed when I looked up
That's
there.
why the bodybuilders put all the tan.
That's why they try and get black, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
I looked up there and like there's a bunch of dudes with rigs out, you know, tan skin, white skin, whatever. But like
He's just
David, I was
glowing.
like, Jesus Christ, look at that guy. You know, he looks like a Superman.
Yeah.
He's pretty fit though, whether it's black or white.
He's good nick.
He's got
Yeah.
he's good nick.
Yeah.
Models a lot.
He definitely wins best looking fighter of the night. Should make a trophy
The
for
Czech
that.
Congo Award.
You can keep that one. Oh, well, I'm glad because I want to start all the shit talking because he already started.
Yeah.
He already started.
Has he? Has he started?
He started?
talking?
Yeah, he was like,
Trash
"Oh,"
talk.
he's like, it's going to be great. You're like the old version of me, and I'm like the young version of you. And everyone was like, "Oh my god!" It was good.
Oh, that's great.
I was like, "I'll take
old
it."
guy
I
age.
don't care.
And then we got our Christmas party, which is starting to form slowly.
What are we doing?
We're doing a Burning Man weekend.
Christmas party, COVID safe.
If you haven't heard of
It
Burning
was
Man,
gonna
guys,
be
just
just-
type it into Google. You get
Yeah.
a good impression.
It was going to be a camping weekend, and then it was going to be we're going to do a camping weekend, and then we're going to do a picnic down the park because we want to be outside so we can have a few numbers. But then we decided to combine the two, and then we decided to turn it into a Burning Man event, which is just get wasted for 3 days. But yeah, it'll be
In
good.
scantily clad outfits.
Yeah, so it'll be Burning Man theme.
Is it costumed?
Yeah,
Of course
Always
it is.
majorly
He's
costumed.
involved. What's
It's
the
majorly
theme?
costumed.
Burning Man.
Burning Man.
Burning
is the
Man.
theme.
I was going to come
Yeah.
naked because that's all I see at Burning Man.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, that's good.
That works.
pretty much it. Yeah.
Don't have to hire anything. Remember we had to hire
Cheap,
those costumes
cheap.
last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hiring
comfortable. Comfortable.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, you just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
really.
But yeah, like, but the
there's
other
there's
parts-
A look. There's a look.
The other parts of the theme, of
Crystals
Burning Man
and
is
feathers and
Feathers,
big
top hats,
glasses.
big
and-
sharing,
Yeah.
communal meals.
Yes.
no money,
Yeah.
all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
or
It's like a bartering kind of economy.
No, it's not bartering. It's just giving.
Right.
So it's like you come with stuff, whatever you want. Like, you know, obviously you're going to bring your own food and water and that. But if you've got like a talent that you want to share, we've got people doing little workshops, like Sue and her daughter are going to do a tie-dye workshop with the kids. Joe's going to do a pub choir workshop.
Wow.
Who is?
Have you heard the pub choirs?
Who's doing
They're
that?
fucking mad.
I've seen the pub
Joe
choirs.
Fabs.
Oh, they're so good.
yes.
Yeah, so you get like half a room,
Alright.
half a room, and you get everyone involved in a choir. Obviously, you have a lead singer, and she's a fucking phenomenal singer, and she runs it, and then everyone sings together, and it's like the lyrics and that, and it gets rowdy.
That's cool.
Yeah, but heaps of stuff, drumming and then obviously the night when we'll just have a DJ perhaps, or just whatever. However it is, we'll have
Dance
music
party.
and a dance.
Dance party.
It's more
Bush
of more of a daytime
COVID
Arvo
safe
thing,
bush-
isn't it?
bush-
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
COVID safe Bushduff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's
So-
spaced.
Yeah,
Yes.
we got the river there,
And obviously,
some activities.
we got a cap on numbers because,
of
you
course.
know, so it's only the certain members who have pre-signed up for it and that kind of thing.
that type
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
So we're
We
making
stick to
sure
it.
that we stick to all those rules.
All the rules. Yeah. And then we've got the Colo River literally on our doorstep. Yeah. Colo.
150 meters is little. It's
Not
right.
bad.
There.
That's great.
You just got to
bad.
beat the properties here. You just bash through the bush
And
there.
that just-
there. Beautiful.
Soothes the hangover. But then we've got a yoga workshop. We're going to do a little bit of visualization to live music, drumming and that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who's doing the
2020, but
drumming?
we'll do. Dave's going to do it.
Dave's going to do
yeah.
it. Someone
He
else
doesn't know that yet, but he is.
There's someone else who's
Looks
keen
like a
on
drummer.
drumming. I saw someone comment.
Andrew's going to do some drumming too.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Walshy.
And
Well, she's a
hopefully
bit of
Mitch
a drummer.
Gardner. He is, yeah.
Dirty
Okay.
dog.
I'll drum if there's a. Oh, actually, I've got a box. I've got one of those boxes.
Oh, bring it.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of music.
Yeah, you'll have heaps of spare time over that weekend, Paul.
Me, when I get there, I switch off.
We're going to do a bit of reflecting as well in the 2021 visualization. So we'll reflect on 2020. I think it's a good year to reflect on. I think it's good to look back at 2020 and think of all the positive things that came out of this year.
Yes.
Because it's been so much negative press around 2020, but there's also been a lot of positive things that have come out of lockdown for individuals, and also, whatever else has changed in your life.
Yeah, facing the hardship of
Yep.
the whole thing has brought about certain opportunities.
Yeah, and obviously it's not over, like the whole COVID thing, and there's still going to be pressing issues with lots of different stuff, but it's just going to be a good time to be able to sit back and look at things from a bit of a positive light and then move into the next year with that same kind of intention, So it'll be
like
fun.
that.
Yeah, it'll be good.
With a huge hangover.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Just munted. I want you to think about, and everyone's like, can't think.
Are you running that session?
Well, I will if no one else wants to. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm up for it. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I like the way you do your prep for the new year. That's why I was asking Paul if you would be interested in doing that.
Right.
But if you're not, then I'm really happy to do it.
I'm interested. Maybe we'll play it by ear close to the date.
Yeah.
Because I'm just aware that I just had microphone one down a little bit. That's me, but it's all right. I'm just aware that I don't know, could be quite busy, and so I don't want to necessarily commit right now to
Lock yourself in.
a work activity at a work activity.
Yeah. So and I think a lot of it's just going to be on the fly.
Yeah.
Nick's going to do some
No obligation too for people.
salsa.
Of
Yes.
course he is.
Little salsa lessons, and all just fun stuff. Yeah, so it's going to be a great weekend. I think everyone's pretty pumped.
Now, I wanted to investigate with you guys today a little bit this training thing, cardio type training that we don't really place much value on in a traditional sense. And a member or someone who's about to sign up that's going through their foundation at the moment was sort of in here the other day and they're loving it. Oh man, the weightlifting class looks great. Look at that gymnastic stuff. I'm really keen to get mobile and I want to learn to handstand. But he's like, you guys don't have any cardio machines in here. And he was like, what's the deal with that? Do you do cardio? And I was like, oh. And it made me think, for a lot of people, the cardio thing still is quite, it can be seen as like a really important isolated component of training. And so if you don't do it, like we say fight, lift, move, we don't have like fight, cardio, move, right? It's like, why is that we don't value it so much? I want to pick that apart a little bit with you guys. T-Bone, could you tell me, when you look at our training methodology as a whole, what is the cardio thing and where does it fit into what we do?
I think it's within context, because I know a lot of other good gyms that know their stuff and have a really good client base and whatnot. But they most of them on the beach, they have a very high, they value their cardio machines. Even in a gym that's similar to ours, they'll have the the climber,
Versa
the
climber.
Versa climber, or
Rower.
the
Elliptical and
Dynabike.
shit.
the Dynabike and rowers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they'll do big stints on it. But you've got to also look at the context. Like the people that are out on the water or for doing endurance sport. They're doing bloody beach runs and long distance paddles and shit like that. So it's relevant to them.
Yeah.
I think for us, the context for our gym is martial arts, and this is a multitude of, pardon me, a multitude of energy systems moving from one point to another and back again. And this is where we do our cardio, if that makes sense. So that means short, higher intensity, like output, like our strength movement, and then obviously when you're on the mats rolling, and when you're fighting,
Yeah. Yeah, so you're maintaining like a level of output through, say, your rounds.
Yeah.
But then there's these spikes of high intensity output.
It ramps up, and then you get rest, and then there's a short sprint, and then it's like battle it out, and you if in that lactic threshold for a bit.
Yep.
And then there's that constant, like overarching kind of cardiovascular output throughout the activity. you know? So yeah, I think it's all about the context for us, and doing long stints on road running or on an elliptical or on a rower. I think that time could be better utilized doing other things.
Yeah, that's a real big one, isn't it? It's like you could sit on your rower for 20 minutes. What are you changing there? Like what adaptation are you getting from that? Whereas if you're spending 20 minutes doing, say, a few different sort of movement-based drills that are increasing mobility, increasing strength, from a global perspective, right? Like there's some lower body stuff, there's some upper body stuff, there's, this nice mix of strength and mobility. And also the byproduct of just that kind of activity is that there's also a cardiovascular demand. Maybe it's not as honed in as it is on the rower, but there's all this other shit that you get for it, right?
That's right. And I think once you move off these machines and into the discipline that you do, it's very rare you can get that kind of output anyway, because there's too many variables.
Yeah.
It's always good to be fit, don't get me wrong. And if you've got a big engine as a martial artist, you need that. But I think if you're not a professional athlete, there's way more low bearing fruits that are going to benefit you from a vitality perspective.
Yeah.
If you're sitting in a chair all day and you've only got 3 hours a week to train, sitting on a rower or a bike is not going to, it's going to turn you into a cripple.
Yeah, that's right.
You know
it's
what I mean?
only going to further reinforce your poor posture, your bad mobility.
It's your tight hip flexors.
Yeah. Knees that don't fully extend.
I think you hit the nail on the head
Yeah.
just there.
So it's all in context,
Yeah, it's a funny one. Like you don't, cycling I have a real issue with from that point of view. Like if you're just riding a bike all the time, and then like any adult, you spend the rest of your day pretty much sitting down, then you really, like there's a price you're paying in your hip mobility, isn't there? Like you're in flexion
everything,
the whole time you're on a bike, your knees are never fully extended or fully flexed, and your back's rounded, like it is when you're at the office desk. So there's really no time. Like if you're really into that and you're doing that a few times a week, and I don't know, even if you go to the gym once and lift some weights or whatever, you're spending so much time in those shitty positions that you're always like, you're never going to get out of them. You're not doing enough like of the balancing out work to pull you out of that hole that you're in.
Yeah, that's adaptation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Specific adaptation to impose demands.
Yes.
And it should be, to be undoing those positions should be the first priority for anyone who's not even for a professional athlete. The professional athletes do all the other stuff on the side, doing the mobility work,
right.
doing the prehab.
They just add hours to their training weeks.
You just see them doing what they do.
Well, some do, right?
Yeah.
The good ones do.
Yeah.
The good ones.
And the ones that have a life outside of, like after their career, ones that can come out of the other end of their career and not be decrepit or crippled, they've looked after themselves. They've done that work on the side,
Yeah.
Same, like you look at the gym that you just went to that you're discussing before, how much knowledge there is in strength and conditioning now, and the average person doesn't get access to that.
That's right.
You know, or they don't source it because you don't have time. So you're like, I just want to get sweat up, and you go out and do your cardio.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's not what you should be doing. Really, you know.
Yeah, I think there's been. I think with a lot of the mainstream information that the general population receive about fitness really kind of reinforces these ideas that cardiovascular training is the most important thing. Like I know my parents and my aunties and uncles and all that, you know, they're seeing all that. They're seeing the documentaries on SBS where they're talking about, oh, you only need to do like 20 seconds of really high intensity work for, 3 intervals. And that's enough to whatever, like increase markers that'll reduce fucking chances of heart disease and stuff like that. And they're like, that's apparently all I need to do. And you're like, yeah. Like from that one, like isolated lens, your heart will benefit from that. But you're forgetting that you've got this whole body, which is this machine, this structure that's working around the heart that also has to be intact. Like you can have the highest quality heart, but if your knees don't work and your hips don't work and you can't walk, your heart's not going to last for very long.
No.
Like you're gonna die. So it's like I feel like it's a bit of a Western thing where we really value, like we really look at cardiovascular health as like the pinnacle.
Yeah.
In the same way that we look at, like brain health, and that, they tell people who are getting older, oh, you need to do like quizzes and Sudoku and crosswords and stuff. It's really good for your brain. It's like, yeah, but you can also challenge your brain through moving your body, and when you do that, you get all of the benefits rather than just one of them.
Yeah. And one on its own doesn't. It doesn't. It's not. This. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't. Really. It doesn't carry over to your real life.
No, it's not going to make any changes. And it's funny you say that because if you look at what the highest killer of Westerners is, it's all around heart disease, and one of them. And it makes sense that there's this focus on how to keep your heart healthy.
Yes.
And you get to a certain age and you're like, fuck, I'm actually in this, in this place. I'm over 40. I'm carrying a bit of weight. I'm sedentary. I'm now a candidate for heart attack.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, I've got limited amount of time. What can I do to prevent that heart attack from happening?
Yeah. And naturally you're like, well, let's address the heart. Let's go to that. It's the thing.
And I was having this conversation yesterday with someone in the gym, just talking about health in general. And when you look at Eastern cultures, or you look at cultures like Polynesian cultures, for instance, I'm looking at my grandmother. I was talking about her. She's never stepped a foot in a gym in her life. She's never done any cardio. She's never done any kind of sporting activity. And she is so fucking healthy, it's ridiculous. Both my grandmothers, and it is all down to lifestyle. She's eating taro, fish that she goes out in the reef, and she'll trade with taro from her garden with her neighbours. She's got purpose in her life. She looks after other elderly. She's always on the move. She has a really healthy social life. She has a low stress living standard. And this is what makes you, or gives you, health and vitality. So people looking for that quick fix to add to their current state of existence, and they're not making any of the changes outside of the gym. But that's where your true health comes from in reality, Yeah, and
so
that's
true.
why it's not a big focus in places like Asia, because they're working every day. You don't retire. You just got to keep working. You're looking after the grandkids. You've always got purpose, and you don't have time or money to spend on a gym, but your diet's still clean because you can't afford to eat shit.
Yeah,
it costs money, and I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah,
always looking for the hack.
Yeah.
It's not
to get out of kind of this situation that we've ended up in due to affluence.
Yep.
In a sense where we don't have to work and we don't have to look after the grandkids and
the time deficiency.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a lot of it just comes down to if you want to be healthy, don't start like the gym is like and I shouldn't be saying this because I own one, but it is a luxury. It's a luxury for health.
Yes.
Health does not come from joining a gym. It comes from decisions that you make, lifestyle choices, and that's it. You know?
Yeah, developing those habits.
Yeah.
So say say for the person who, someone that we see that walks through the door, and generally what we see, and you kind of touched on this before, we see mechanical deficiencies in people. We see poor movement patterns, a lack of coordination, joints that are stiff or, imbalance from between one side to the other. And so our primary thing at that point is to address those deficiencies first. So before we worry about making them super strong or teaching them how to fight or whatever, the first thing is fix those mobility restrictions and just develop that body awareness. How can we break that down for someone who goes to a gym 3 times a week and say they just bash it out in like a HIIT class? It's like, oh, what are we doing this week? Oh, we're jumping on the box and then we're doing the thrusters and then you're fucking slamming these ropes for 60 reps and then skipping and we're going to do it for 45 minutes. Something like that. Because I think for that person, they're like, well, that's a hard exercise class and I'm doing all these different movements. So what do you want from me? Like, I'm doing it. What are they missing there?
Well, I think you got to figure out what is wrong with the machine before you start pushing it to its full capacity. You know what I mean? You got to balance it out. It's like having a shitty old Datsun with fucking wheels unaligned. I know I could come back to car analogy.
It's a good one.
That's an easy one. Chassis a little bit bent. The engine's like the pistons are misfiring. And this is the 99.99% of Australian population. And taking that Datsun out on the racetrack and lining up next to the new fucking Holden and this high-powered vehicle on the other side, which are your Fitzbro ambassadors, and just putting the pedal to the metal, trying to keep up with them.
Yes.
It is a recipe for disaster. I mean, when you look at an analogy like that,
It's so clear.
and you fucking break.
Yeah.
And then when you're broken, you can't do shit. So
I know this, and
that
this
shit in the garage.
happened to me. I made a poor decision in recent months where I got stemming from the Achilles thing. I'm aware that one side of my hip is not as stable as the other, even right down to the foot and the calf and the lower limb. Basically, I went and did something irresponsible. I went and did like 200 jump lunges in a workout because I wanted to finish. And I was like, you know what? That pattern I haven't been addressing lately and it was a bit irresponsible. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to go for it. And sure enough, at the end of that, my QL on the opposite side just locked up. My adductor just swelled up and it was pretty evident that there was just some massive compensation going on. The glute wasn't stabilizing. I just kept going. It was dynamic movement when I wasn't ready for it.
pedal to the metal.
Pedal to the metal, and
Wheels going.
Big compensation.
Wheels wobbling.
yeah. And
Steering wheel shuddering.
I knew that kind of going in, and I was like,
Hold
nah,
it.
I'll just do it anyway. Hold it together. And that's pretty much that analogy right there. And then what happened there, I had to fix that. So it was like, oh shit. You idiot. Woke up the next morning, I was like, you idiot.
But it's funny though, like we are a machine. And I think people tend to forget that. We are a machine, that's it. And all moving parts, sooner or later, will break, and the worse you treat them,
That's depressing.
more likely they're going to break. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the good thing is that we can heal like a piece of metal. But you got to take that into consideration. You can't just go and buy a new car. Like when you fuck the one that you got, you know what I mean?
I think, just to comment on that, I think we are a machine and we are also like a
driver.
Like a biological kind of, like plastic being that can evolve and change and, right? And so, and we obviously kind of understand that, and a lot of what we do is focus on the structure, which is the machine.
Yeah.
But I think what we're looking at here is it's, if you look at it just the other side as well, Like, oh, I just address my gut health, but I don't do any training.
Yeah.
Or I just address my cardiovascular health, but I don't actually like lubricate the hinges that hold my body together. When you just look at one, you fuck up. That's, you know,
Yes.
you have to understand both. And
Yeah.
what we come to know is that through focusing on the side that we choose to, the mechanical side, you get the other stuff happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or access to it at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, it's like sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, yeah.
But I'm just thinking like Stephen Jepson, who, if you've ever seen the guy, he had a YouTube video that went kind of viral. He's an old guy. He's probably sort of mid-70s, and I think he lives somewhere in the South.
Oh, yeah.
In the States,
Games
maybe
guy.
in Florida. Yeah, and he's this zany American guy. He's invented a few different things that you can play with, different toys and stuff, but all he does is play. He just plays all day long, and his house has become like a playground, and he's obviously obsessed with it, and he plays with. You think of a game, and this motherfucker's playing with it. He plays a game where he has to stand on one leg and pick up glass bottles with his toes, and then put them in another spot, and then he does it on the other side, and then after he plays that, he goes and does this thing where he climbs a ladder, and then he tries to balance on the ladder, and then he gets on a unicycle and he does laps.
My kids would love that.
And then he
house.
makes stuff out of clay, and then he gets on his snakeboard, and he likes to snakeboard. You know, like
Maybe that's not that cool. But
he's just wild, right? But he's like, all these people my age, like, can't do this stuff, you know? And he's like, young people can't do this stuff. And he's like, my brain is like fucking electric. Like, it's so like
wired.
Yeah, he's like, because I'm playing all the time. I'm doing this stuff. I'm challenging my body. He's like, I brush my teeth with the opposite hand for months, and I put my shoes on in the backwards setting. So instead of my usual hand, I use the other ones. And he's like, it's really hard at first, but I'm building this coordination all the time. So his whole message is like, keep playing. And essentially through this use of the body, he's developing the brain, you know, and then that's then having a positive effect on his endocrine system. His hormones are good. I'm sure his gut health's pretty good. Like, you know, everything kind of flows on from this mantra of play more. Which I really like, and I really feel it kind of, it hits that nail on the head, right? Because everything gets covered by being in that, playing in that, like, existing in that one realm.
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. I see myself as a big player, not as zany and proactively going out and trying to build all that stuff. But I love that. I do try to play all the time, and not as something that's hard to for me to do. It's a natural thing. I do like that philosophy, and I hoped that when I'm that age, I'm still kicking ass, maybe, or, you know, playing games with my grandchildren.
Fuck yeah.
My great grandchildren.
Actually, I heard an interesting stat from Justin this morning. We were talking about, he spat out so many studies and stats that I find it hard to remember it all. But one of them was that it's been shown that, I think it was 6 sets of random bouncing and jumping drills. So think of like single leg hopping, and then think about like agility ladder, like stepping left, stepping right, and then like sprinters drills where it's like high knee, you know, that kind of thing. 6 sets of that before sport drastically reduces your chance of injuring your knees.
Love it.
And he's like, it's not even the drills themselves that are important. It's the fact that you're just doing these drills and your knees constantly having to stabilize. So he's like, you think about, he said strength is not a factor there. He's like, think about when, he's like, we have kids who are like 13 years old. They're super weak. Like they can't, like they you know, they might be able to do pull-ups, but he's like, they can't squat. Like they don't have strong quadriceps or hamstrings. But he's like, these kids go play ball sports. They don't break their knees. He's like, but then you become an adult and you got all the strength, right? You're squatting and deadlifting and doing all that shit. And you go play sport and you break your knee. And he's like, it's not about the strength. It's about this stability thing. And he reckons that the majority of it comes from playing, because kids are in the playground. Like you watch kids' movement patterns, right? When they're climbing trees and running around and inventing games, they're doing all kinds of weird shit with their body all day long. So they're naturally kind of building this capacity or this prehab in a sense. And then now that we're adults, we sit down all day and then we take 1 hour to go exercise and, you know, or go play ball sports.
Well, if they were doing what we think is the right thing to do, then we'd have all of our young children going jogging.
That's right.
Maybe they should go jogging.
Getting on the leg press.
90 minutes.
Rowing machine. It's true, right?
Yeah. I think even structured play for kids is damaging as well. I think having an adult like dictate
The rules.
the
and stuff.
rules, like, you know, game of soccer, and I know that this will probably rustle a few feathers, but
I'm over here. Come at me.
But you look at the way
Defend that
kids
game.
free play, and then you look at the way they play like an adult ball sport, and it is a very, very different environment. The free play has this element of imagination, and with that, the patterns and the movements that they work through are much greater range and more sporadic and more exploratory tools and shit.
Yep.
And then you go chuck them in a pair of soccer boots that can't even bend them, you know, and you chuck them on a field, and most of them don't want to be there. And, you know, there'll be one or two kids that are just dominating the field, and the rest are just kind of walking around hating on
Not
exercise.
particularly interested.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, this is what being fit is. I don't like this shit.
Yeah.
You know?
There's the competition
Fuck.
aspect. There's the pressure of performing on the team.
Dad screaming and
Yep.
getting the car and copping an earful because
Yep.
you weren't, fucking motivated and
Mate.
didn't tackle Johnny as he sidestepped him.
Charles T always
punch
refers
up
to
on.
Johnny.
It's Johnny or Jay.
Little Johnny.
Little Johnny. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's this, Anyway, I'm
We've-
probably going on a bit of a tangent.
We
there.
packaged it up in a way that we think is the way they should do it.
Yes, when we should be like just, and then when we do get them into free play, what do?
They don't know.
Don't
what to
do that. Don't pick that up.
Don't climb that.
Don't climb that.
Don't
Get off
start.
that.
Don't start.
You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
just
Can't handle that.
And then what do you get? Like,
And they're out there expressing all the capacities we wish we had.
yes.
Like,
And
I
we-
wish I could climb a tree
and
like
we
that.
stifle that shit.
I wish I could do that with my knees.
Yes.
Don't start.
And we stifle it. you
Yeah.
know?
Don't start.
And,
me
and
on
you,
those.
it's very difficult to come back from that once you hit 21. You know?
Well, that's right. Once
Very fucked.
you lose this shit, it's very hard to get it back, right?
Yeah.
One of the ones for me is like and this is more of a practical piece for folks. You know, you're going out there, you're doing your thing. Like, let's say I'll use CrossFit as an example because I've had great experiences with CrossFit in the past. I like it personally as a training, you know, as a class to go and do because I have naturally always moved quite well and I've been blessed with pretty good mobility. So squatting and lunging and burpees and pull-ups and all that stuff, I can do it well. And then, you know, due to fitness levels, you can turn the intensity up and I can maintain the quality, right? So I've always found that, you know, fine for me. But when I look at it for the majority of folks who perhaps don't move so well, don't have the same level of body awareness, you know, maybe they're sitting in an office all day, so they got, you know, some pretty bad posture going on, but they're trying to move at that speed and that rate because it's fun, right? They want to do it. They want to be in the class. They want that hormonal fucking dump of endorphins and whatever that comes from training like that. But in that 20-minute workout, they've got no awareness of what their body's doing. They're completely unaware of the shitty positions they're going into every time they squat or every time they push up or every time they, you know, do a burpee, whatever. What do we do about, you know,
It's tough because they want to take
wanna
part.
move.
Yeah, they want to take part, and it's a cool thing that it's not like CrossFit aren't trying to address those mobility issues for people. Hopefully, good gyms they're taking them as individuals as well. It's like a member here, and we got to give you some individualized corrective work you need to do. But hey, it's okay to go in the workout, similar to how we do. But yeah, it's a tough one. Do you say, hey, you can't train here, you should probably address these for the next 18 months and then come back and see us? Probably that's not going to work either. You're trying to meet people where they're at and they're in this framework of parenthood and working and a little bit of time. So you're really just trying to meet people, you know, to be able to
find a middle ground.
middle ground
Yeah.
and moving in the right direction.
You got to be able to take the Datsun out for a wrap.
Yeah.
You know?
But you just
But
have
if
to
you're
be putting-
just wrapping that thing every
Yeah,
fucking
only.
day,
No.
You got to put it in the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should spend more time in the garage and less time on the
I
track.
would
And
say-
slowly that can start, the ratios can change.
And
a
I
little.
think if you don't have enough time to research and look into that and know how to guide yourself through that, because there's a fine line where you're just going to step over at one time and the Datsun's going to blow, then you should be in really good hands with people who are watching you.
yeah,
as in good
take foot off
coaches,
the
good
accelerator a
gym.
little bit.
They can always be there keeping you accountable to you stepping into areas that probably you're not ready for.
Yeah.
that's sort of one of my, I guess, part of one of my gripes with like conventional strength and conditioning too, that it's like, it's really like science based, and it's like how hard, like how many times can you lift the thing, how fast can you push the sled, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you can do that right now, but like the movement, the positions you're in are not adequate or not ideal. Your mobility is really not adequate. So what's going to happen to you in 2 years' time? So you're performing high now, but then what happens to you in 5 years' time? You know, do you have a back injury? Do you blow your knee out? You know, those sorts of things.
I think that's where you have this like this line between your strength and conditioning coach and your coach, or your discipline coach. So I can't speak on behalf of other sports, but I definitely know for any kind of martial arts, the discipline coach, kickboxing coach, or your jiu-jitsu coach focusing on form, and they gauge the quality of the movement pattern. You know what I mean? If it's a good coach.
Yeah.
And the strength and conditioning coach is about recording numbers. What can I measure? You know what I mean? So their attention to the minor details that are within the context. You know what I mean? So are not as acute as a coach of that particular discipline. The knowledge base is different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the combination of the two is where it's at, I believe. I mean, well, we see that, you know, today where we have like the best coaches out, and you've got these famous coaches that are training up certain athletes, and with them you've got this couple of, like your mate down at Caringbah, you know? And when you have this collaborative space where these two people can combine their knowledge, then you come up with a strategy, you know?
I would argue though that the martial arts, like the specialist coach, they want to see good patterns and good positions with the specific techniques they use in that sport, but they don't really care about what happens outside of that. Like how many fighters can you think of who, you know, can throw an epic head kick or can, you know, great boxing, whatever, good takedowns, but like put them through a functional movement test and they fall to pieces. Can't squat, hip flexors are overcooked, you know, like all sorts of dysfunction, right? It's not to say that like everybody should be, you know, mechanic. Like you have to specialize, particularly if you want to play at that elite level of anything. But I feel like I feel like Justin from down in Caringbah, he's an exception because he's got the strength conditioning side, but he's super interested in perfecting the mechanics.
Yeah.
Whereas he doesn't let his pursuit of the performance be the top of that pyramid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think about...
But that's good strength. That's good quality
great.
strength and
Yes.
conditioning. That's what we would like to see everywhere.
That's right.
You know?
But I don't think. I mean, you know, the
But you
amount of
don't.
fucking strength conditioning coaches who I see denouncing stretching.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't have any evidence behind it.
Is that right? They do that?
Shitloads.
Okay,
But
because that's
been
what I'm
floating around for.
I love that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
but it's you know, like say when I you know, if I think of like people I've known who are in that realm and they're posting videos of their athletes and, you know, they'll be a strength conditioning coach and oh, look at these, my guys, these are my, you know, reserve grade fucking football players, whatever. Look how heavy they're squatting and look how fast they're pushing the sled. But they're doing like quarter squats and there's no form at all, right? They're just banging this thing out, going down, going up. Like it doesn't look at all comfortable. The position looks like really gnarly, but these big, strong guys are just getting through it and they're bashing the sled out and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm sure the metrics of your strength conditioning program are all moving upwards, but it's like you're destroying this guy's knees or you're like fucking up this guy's lower back like day by day.
Yeah.
You know, because there is just the view of performance.
Man, I'd love to get behind some of those gym doors now that I'm back watching NRL and stuff. And I've been a coach for 3 years. I'd love to just walk through the gym during a lifting session or anything and just see what it looks like. Because I look at these guys and they're
animals,
massive
like
guys.
testosterone.
Yeah, and they are fucking that racing car. And they're I just want to know because, you know, you'd be able to surely pick some guys there. You're like, that guy is prone straight up.
Yes.
You should not be getting tackled by 3 guys over 100 kilos in different planes of movement.
Yeah.
Because I'm just watching injuries every weekend there. But yeah,
And then you got the
interesting.
ones where you're like, they chose the right parents, you know?
Or they're blessed.
Well, that's where
Yeah.
that's where it begins, doesn't it? you know,
Yeah.
that first kind of like gene pool. And then after that,
Well, I think it's your parents choosing
environment.
the right religion.
uh,
First, they need to be blessed, and then they will produce the finest offspring. What about, you know, we're sort of coming to the end, but something else I wanted to bring up was, you know, you think about like you get someone that comes in, say general population type client, they want the standard fitness goals, right? They want to get a bit fitter, feel a bit better about themselves, lose a bit of weight, put on a bit of muscle, whatever. And you've got 2 hours a week, 2 1-hour sessions to work with them. We know that if you put that person through like a 60-minute session where they're sweating and heaving and like working super hard, that they're going to love that session. They're going to be like, fuck yes, I'm moving towards my goals. However, we don't do that. So what, you know, we sort of touched on why we don't do that, because we have to fix the mechanics first. But is that approach of like giving people just what they want and focusing on that cardio side of things, I kind of see that as the lazy option of the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Something that is overprescribed.
yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, you need to approach it like you would like anyone learning how to drive, you know, and fix their own vehicle at the same time. So there will be a little bit of mechanics involved, and that's your pre-ab work and your strength training, and then there's your coaching throughout that space, teaching that person how to drive the vehicle, and then at the end you might have 10 or 15 minutes of take the vehicle for a wrap, you know.
What about the fuel part of that?
Under supervision?
Have a bit of fun.
Under supervision.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that's my approach to someone who has limited time like that. That's a beginner, and that kind of format is it's a cut and paste, but it's very effective. You know, obviously this what you put in there is relevant to the individual.
Yeah.
But the ratios are very similar.
Yeah.
I'm the same, and usually when someone comes in here and they're thinking that the cardio thing is like, why aren't I working, you know, really hard and sweating, and I kind of want to. We're gonna flesh out the reasons why at the beginning, so that they have the context and the idea behind why we're doing it this way, of course. But then it's also giving them little nuggets along the way as you build a relationship with the other part of the analogy, like garaging your car, taking care of yourself basically outside of the gym. So it's figuring out what maybe they should put their car in the garage or choose better fuel that you're going to run the engine with and type thing.
Yeah.
So just addressing those bits as we go.
Wax more often. Yes.
A bit of rest.
I could probably
All
use
that
that.
stuff.
My car's terrible right now.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk probably when we get Rawdon on. We've got Rawdon Dubois talking fat loss and muscle gain. He's a bodybuilding and physique athlete coach next week. But I want to, sort of talk to him about the differences too, because there's this feeling that when you're training really hard and sweaty and doing, high intensity interval training, whatever, that you're like burning more calories and that you're moving faster towards your goals of weight loss and whatnot. And kind of just doesn't necessarily work that way. And I recall from when we had Luke Tulloch on the show that he was like, yeah, it's kind of much of a muchness. You can lift some weights, can do some cardio, doesn't really matter. Your output is more or less the same. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was coming back to the basic calories principles and
Yeah.
The fitness model. So he trains up bodybuilders and fitness models.
Like physique competitors.
Yeah.
So yeah, like all of the different levels moving up towards bodybuilding. It seems that he takes more of a consulting kind of role, doing their skin fold tests, helping them prep for competition, posing routines, that kind of thing. I don't think he does a huge amount of face-to-face coaching. It's a lot of online stuff.
Oh, online.
Yeah, sounds very cool.
Cool.
Well, gents, I appreciate the chat today. We're going to wrap it up there. Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to share before we go?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Very good. Thanks for listening today, guys. That was episode 83. Remember, Fight Night's coming up 14th of December. We will put the details out. You'll see it on our social media.
12th of December.
12th December.
Sorry.
Thank you. My bad. You'll see it in our newsletter and all that stuff. But watch it. Get some friends around. Get some popcorn. Buy the stream. Watch some people beat each other up. But then also know that your money's going towards helping people improve their mental health And also, if you like the show, please take a screenshot, share it on your Instagram, tag us. We love to know who's listening, and share the episode with a friend. Thanks. We'll catch you guys next week. Cheers, boys.
Thank you.
Yeah.